Yeah, I know, I heard.
Because that particular public land is inalienable. It is not disposable. So he wanted to remedy this by filing a bill. The title of his bill is
Mr. Chair, objection, this is still my time.
Seeking to reconvert.
No, that is not my intention, Mr.
I'm making
Chair.
a point of order.
No, and your point of
He is
order does
trying
not
to
german to the subject matter of the case.
Stop. 2-minute suspension.
Mr. Chair,
Part of my manifestation
would
that
like
it should be
to
stricken on the
inform
record.
chair
Yes.
that the project includes the third project. For example,
So,
in-
are you
the
saying
title-
this is part of one contract?
Yes, it's part of one contract. The contract is this.
What?
19KJ0186.
Yes.
What is the construction of multipurpose building, open and close parenthesis, housing project, cluster
1
with
and 2.
site development. So,
In Laman and in the other
the
barangay.
multipurpose are two types of building. These are condo types comprising of two buildings. And the cluster is in Maluubang. So it is encompassed in one title only. This is the contract. That
Okay,
is why.
then
that is
I
why
stand to
he
be
is not
corrected.
correct.
If this is one contract, one government project, one allocation in the GAA, then this is part of the hearing.
Mr. Chair,
The only question, Mr. Chair, is the funding.
that is not my point, Mr. Chair, that I want to be stricken out of the record. What I want to be stricken out of the record was part of his presentation of the House bill that I filed, converting that particular area into an alienable property, Mr. Chair.
What
That
are
is
you
not
saying?
part-
The press conference,
No, Mr. Chair. He was mentioning about the bill that I filed currently, and he was even insinuating if I made a disclosure.
it is premature to rule on that because we cannot rule on that yet because we haven't heard the facts of that particular case. This is just a one-sentence allegation of one of the 8.
No.
Yeah,
It's not part of the 8, Mr. Chair.
It's not part of the 8.
Yeah, he was just mentioning about the House bill, which I am making. The House bill that I filed, 8095, Mr. Chair. This is a separate House bill, no, which is not part of the agenda. This is not part of the resolution.
Mr. Chair, he is out
Mr.
of
Chair?
order. Diaz Oaminal is out of order.
What is your grounds?
The grounds, Mr. Chair, why is he the one presenting the project? Is he the contractor?
Mr.
The
Chair,
DPWH, if they so desire, should be the one to make a presentation, but they will ask this committee to do so. If Diaz Oaminal is the contractor, probably, then I will allow that. But is he the contractor, Mr. Chair? He is no personality in presenting his own project.
So what is your motion,
Mr. Chair?
DS
He
Marcoleta?
cannot be allowed to make a presentation,
Can you
Mr.
form
Chair.
that? Can you translate that into a motion so
I
that
move
we can
that he-
the chair can rule?
It is completely
Mr. Chair, it is
out
still
of
my
order,
time.
Mr. Chair,
The
for
point
Diaz
of-
Oaminal to make a presentation considering that he is not a member, he is not an official of DPWH. This is a project entirely upon the supervision and implementation of DPWH. It has nothing to do with him.
Mr. Chair, the point of order does not, when we say point of order, there is a violation of the role. No, there is no role or raised by DS Marcoleta which serve as a basis for his point of order.
There is no rule, Mr. Chair.
I am,
We are ruling on the basis of my own resolution that there are infractions concerning the project in Osamis City, and the project concerns the implementation of DPWH. So the DPWH are supposed to be the ones defending this project, not DS Oaminal.
DS Oaminal, can you answer his objection, his point of order?
Mr. Chair, as I said, there is no role violated which serve as a basis for his point of order. And
Or the
second
one
thing, Mr. Chair,
violating the law,
I
Mr.
should be
Chair.
allowed to, this is my time, Mr. Chair. No?
DS Marcoleta, please give leeway to explain his side why he will show this presentation.
Well, Mr.
I
Chair,
made a preliminary-
he should first present the personality why he is the one presenting the project himself.
Mr. Chair, I had already made a preliminary remarks, Mr. Chair, and about to continue.
No,
This is a
preliminary
project
remarks.
funded.
Can we stick to a question and answer phase? Because this is an interpellation. So I would appreciate if we could proceed with the question. You can question anybody to present your case.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
as I said, the resolution covers in his first whereas an appropriations funded by the General Appropriations Act, Mr. Chair. And this particular provision, Mr. Chair, is the project, this is local infrastructure fund on our GAA, which has been proposed by the respective congressman in the different districts or party lists. So this is a project funded out of the representation of this representation, Mr. Chair. So that's why I would present the project because I am the proponent. And then
How long is the presentation?
it just actually it will not take
2 minutes, 5 minutes?
There is probably 1 minute, then there is another 2 minutes, 3 minutes as I go along, Mr. Chair.
Oh, please be informed that this is part of your 30 minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay.
Please proceed, Mr. DS Oaminal.
This is just a slide presentation, Mr. Chair. That is the condition of the area of the residents who are the beneficiaries of this project, Mr. Chair. And then the project, slide presentation 2, that is the project, Mr. Chair, to transform the standard of living of those informal settlers in that area to this kind of project, Mr. Chair. And that right side building, Mr. Chair, is the one funded, that first unit on the right side, that is the one funded of the 50 million allocations, portion of the 50 million, which is the 35 million, and the other one, which is in diagonal, that is the phase 2, which is funded by the 20% development fund of the city, Mr. Chair. So that can you please go back to the first slide? The first slide. Okay. The residents of the area, Mr. Chair, there are about 100 beneficiaries, residents, more or less. Of this,
Mr. Chair, may I make a manifestation that this slide was taken during the height of Sendong, Typhoon Sendong?
Mr. Chair, he can make manifestation
Mr.
later.
Chair. This was taken during the Typhoon Sendong, Mr. Chair, not in Laman. This is not in Laman.
Noted.
Mr. Chair.
Please do not engage.
Is this in Barangay Laman? I want to ask him. Is this Barangay
Is this in
Laman?
Barangay Laman?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That is not in
That is
Laman,
the-
Mr. Chair.
I
I will ask residents.
Let-
During
Please
this
listen,
time, during the ethics
please do not
committee,
engage
they will
one another and
identify
ask the
all
chair directly your questions.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chair, this slide is misrepresenting and he is misleading this court, this committee. This is not in Laman. This is somewhere else, maybe Malaubang, but this was taken at the height of Typhoon Sendong, which is 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Huwag tayo mag-islead and do not put us drawings here.
may just be
You
allowed
can
to
put
continue.
up the
Yes,
best drawings here. That this is not
Because,
the
please, noted, DS Marcoleta. Please proceed, DS Oaminal. You have already consumed 12 minutes of your time.
Mr. Chair, so this is the site of the Laman housing project. This right side, Mr. Chair, there are about 100 more or less residents in the area. And of the 100 residents, only currently only 2 opposes in the expropriation, what we call in the original negotiation with the local government, Mr. Chair. The concept of the program is that the national government through the DPWH will fund the building and the land shall be the counterpart of the local government unit. So it's the local government, that's why it's the local government that handles the expropriation, Mr. Chair. And of the residents, the residents are the beneficiaries, so that when the DPWH started the construction, the residents voluntarily dismantled their houses and then turn over it to the local government. That's why the contractor only made the clearing operations, and that is why, Mr. Chair, in the adjudication of evidence with the author, he cannot mention who are those residents who are affected or who are complaining. Because practically, Mr. Chair, that's why the government was able to immediately start the project after the negotiation, because the residents voluntarily. There is only one, Mr. Chair, which is the client of the author, the Neri family. And the Neri family, until now, the house is not yet demolished. Can you please show the picture of the Neri family? But anyway, and Mr. Chair, the one which was presented by D.S. Marcoleta, the one with backhoe and the one those shouting, are not, that is not the site which the buildings have been constructed now, have been constructed. That is actually on the opposite side. And that particular incident, Mr. Chair, the one shouting there are not the residents of that particular building, because that particular house that was already vacated by the owner because Mrs. Regina Garcines, because there was already a writ of possession issued by the court, and the owner had complied, no, respectfully complied with the writ of possession. So the one that was shouting there is not really the residents. It was a fake voice, Your Honor, of the Neri family, because that particular house is adjacent or close to that Neri family, which is the client of the author, which I said there is the house is not yet demolished until at present. Mr. Chair, the resolution calls for illegal demolition. As manifested by the local government of Osami City, there is no illegal demolition because it's the owners that temporarily that dismantle their houses after they have been paid and settled by the government, by the local government, and then because after the completion of the project, they will have to be to return the area because they are the beneficiaries. That is why we are now raising an issue on who are the complainants, because until now the author has not informed this body on who are the complainants, so that we could have asked the complainants if they have really houses which are being demolished, because the issue of the resolution is illegal demolition and harassment. No, so with that, Mr. Chair, that's why we are protesting that particular video presentation. No, which has that one which showed that there are people shouting scary voice in the process of the clearing on that particular area. And again, that particular house is not yet part of the area where the ongoing construction of the projects.